Hi, my name is Preston Pogue. It's October 1st, 2021, and this is one of my health classes. And today, we are going to talk about mental illness, right? We touched on it just a little bit, not much at all, but first off, when you think about mental illness, let's brainstorm. What comes to mind, right? If somebody says mental illness, what would come to mind? Depression, right? It happens sometimes, all ages, but you see teenagers sometimes.
Anxiety.
Anxiety. People get nervous. Y'all get nervous? Y'all get nervous when I make do y'all get nervous when I make a conference meeting? No. Some of you do, some of you don't, right? Or some things you get anxious about, right? That you have to do. It could be tests, it could be a lot of different things.
Someone who's like psychotic.
Say it again?
Someone who's like psychotic.
Somebody psychotic. How would that person act?
Weird.
Weird. I mean, have y'all ever seen people on the street like moving their hands and then talking real loud and you know, they're just like, man, something's going on. That's not natural. Okay. What else? Mental illness. All those are great examples. What?
Is phobia one?
Phobia is maybe a trait. Y'all know, you know, what is phobia? Y'all know what phobia is? What is it? So it's a fear of something. So like with me, I'm scared of frogs, right? Those folks scared of frogs. Because I grew up and my brother and sister threw frogs on me. I'm the youngest of three. So it could be a lot of different things that you're scared of. It could be heights, it could be spiders, it could be frogs, it could be claustrophobia. It could be a lot of different things. But we'll talk about phobia. What else? Give me a couple more. Huh? Bipolar. Right? You hear, there's certain mental disorders you hear more of. You hear more of bipolar. I mean, you probably know somebody with bipolar. With extreme emotions, and we'll learn more about that too. Let me ask you this. Why does Coach Pogue, we're going to spend a week on mental disorder. Why does Coach Pogue spend a week on mental disorder?
So you know when you see them, or if you start acting different, or someone you know around you starts acting different, you know what's happening.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So you could be around your buddy, right? And it could be maybe you notice he's really quiet or she's really quiet. Maybe she doesn't eat anything. Right? Or maybe she's real talkative and now she don't say nothing. She's depressed. All right? What else?
You like see the early signs of the illness.
You see the early signs. Because here's the deal. I've told y'all this. My mom had dementia. When I was y'all's age, I had no clue what dementia was. I mean, I didn't. I had health class. I don't remember ever doing mental illnesses. So now you can see early stages. We can look back at my mom 2 or 3 years ago, and it gradually just has gotten worse. Right? She's a moderate case. First example would be she's a great cook. Right? Thanksgiving, she always made banana pudding. That was awesome. But she forgot how to make it. But then she was fine, right? She remembered this and that, but that was just early signs of it. So as you get older, it might happen in your family. So you need to know, that's why it's important. I love talking about it because there's so many mental disorders or illnesses that it could affect you later on. Okay? Everybody understand that? All right, now what I want you to do is we're going to do something today. We're going to, don't open your book yet. We're going to turn to the chapter of mental illness. And this is what I want you to do. I don't want you to read it yet. It's going to be 10 pages. I want you guys, I'm going to give you 5 minutes, and I want you to look at every page. All right? What I mean by that, I want you to look at illustrations. I want you to look at graphs or charts on the pages, bold print, anything that bold print, pictures, graphs, and I want you to predict what all it's going to be talking about. Okay? And you might predict some stuff that you don't have a clue about when you say those words. Do you understand that? All right. So it's going to be page 74 to 84. Turn in your books. I gave you a note card, a sticky note, and just do it real quick. I don't want you to see something and read all about it. That's not the point of it. I want you to look at the bold print, pictures, graphs, or any type of illustrations, and jot it down on there, and then we're going to talk about it before we read. Okay? You got 5 minutes to do that. And let me know if you have any questions once you start doing it. Just flip through there and look at it, look at the pictures and write stuff down. If you need another sticky note, let me know too. Remember, just jot it down, glance at it, jot it down. Predict what you think the whole chapter is. All right, takes one more minute. All right, everybody finished? Close enough. All right. So now let's talk about what you wrote down. What's the thing that caught your eyes? It could be, like was that picture, illustration, graphs, bolded words. Y'all tell me some stuff. What'd you have?
This.
Ponders in here.
Say that again. Dissociative disorder? Yeah. You know what that is? So it's maybe it caught your eye, but you don't know what it is. But when you read it, you'll find out what it is. Yeah.
Eating disorder.
Eating disorders, right? So eating disorder for me, you know, when I first started learning about mental illnesses, sometimes you don't think an eating disorder is that, but you'll get to read about it.
And page A3, it shows like this picture from a movie, and it says the movie Sybil portrayed a woman suffering from multiple personality disorder.
So, great example. Right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it shows a great example of actually a movie. You ever seen that movie? That's an older movie. I've seen the movie. What else stood out?
Dementia and how quickly it can progress over the day.
Yeah, I mean, dementia, you'll learn, if you read on this, you'll understand like certain ages it starts to develop, and over the last 5 or 6 years, that's changed a little bit. Younger people's got dementia. All right, Carl, what did you have?
One of the ones that stood out to me was trauma.
Say it again.
I didn't think trauma was.
Trauma, right.
Disorders.
Definitely did. What else?
Something called
So that's probably none of you heard of that one. And you'll read about it and we'll know more about it. What'd you have?
Also noticed the picture of someone sad or they're happy, meeting, different emotions.
So yeah, different emotions. I'm just looking, you got a picture of a clown, you got somebody sad, it's got, in a fetal position, you got a group of people laughing, right? So some of these mental disorders has all those emotions, right? Some have extreme emotions. Give me two more, what else?
In here it says that like some mental illnesses that we consider to be mental illnesses might not be considered mental illnesses in like other cultures and vice versa.
Yeah, so that's crazy. Our culture might view it that way. Other cultures might not. They might not be diagnosed with something with a mental disorder. Right? There's a lot. If you Google mental disorder or mental illnesses, there's a list of them. Right? Just think about different ones. OCD, the bipolar, the schizophrenia, the anxiety disorder. There's a bunch. The main one there's a lot of other ones too. Okay. Give me one more.
Anorexia, like you said.
Yeah. Anorexia. Right? Do y'all know much about anorexia? Well, see, you'll read about it. I had one of my good friends, actually my wife, one of her better friends, was in high school, your age. Right? This girl was beautiful. Right? But she had anorexia, and she always thought that she was a lot bigger than she was. Right? She looks in the mirror, she thinks, oh man, I need to lose weight, but she's already very slim. Okay? But there's a process to sort of beat that, and she's got 3 beautiful kids now, so she had to go through therapy, and it'll tell you some of that to read. Okay. All right, so now what I want you to do, we're gonna read it. It's 10 pages, it's a very easy read, all right? And then we're going to compare what you wrote down to what you find out the reading is about. Okay? Maybe it's something you didn't know about. Right? So I'm going to give you 7 minutes to do that, read it, and then we'll talk about it. Okay? You can also jot down stuff on your note or on your sticky note too, if something comes to your attention. Maybe I didn't have a clue what this is. Maybe a got you type deal when you understand what it is. name, the singer of that song? Huh? Purple Rain. Think about one more minute. Some of you already finished. All right, let me ask you this, before we get into what you discussed. Why do you, I want you to think about this, at your age, right? Why do you think I asked you to predict what you're going to do? Why do y'all think that? You know, you sort of just looked at big words, pictures and stuff like that. Why would I have you do that?
Kind of like just get an idea of what they're about.
Yeah, so you get an idea, right? So a lot of times, if I just handed you, and I've told y'all this before, if I just handed you guys questions, all right, I want you to read those 10 pages and answer the questions. What do y'all usually do? Yeah, you're reading questions, you're just gonna go through there and find out what is phobia. You go find what phobia is, you go write it down, and you're really not gonna know what it means. Right? So this gets you thinking about what you're about to read. So you already got your mind trained for that. And then you understand it better. Right? It's good practice for you in all your subjects. Just to sort of understand, get your mind right for whatever subject you're going to do. Instead of, sometimes we just want to look up the answers. And if Coach Polk asks you the answers, well, a lot of times you don't know the answer, right? Because you put the answer down, really not knowing what it is. You understand that? So that's why I wanted y'all to do that. So when you predicted what was on there, what did you find out when you read it? Give me some stuff.
The people with schizophrenia see and hear things.
Yeah, so what's that called? When you hear and see that, what's it called? What does it say? Hallucinations, right? So schizophrenia, so we sort of talk about the guy walking down the street and he, like he's talking to somebody loud, that's a schizophrenia, right? These are real brief in here. As the week goes on, we'll talk more about each one of them individually, but schizophrenic, man, you hear things or see things, or you're very paranoid all the time, like somebody's chasing you, right? Schizophrenia.
There are people who are like obsessed with like disease and their physical health, and they always think there's something wrong with them.
Yeah, so do y'all know people like that? I do. So if that person has heartburn, they might think, man, I'm having a heart attack. Or if I've got a bad headache, oh, I've got cancer, or a lot of different things. Did it say what it's called?
Hypochondria.
Yeah, hypochondria or hypochondriac is a person that always thinks the worst, no matter what. You can't tell them any different. I think you just have a headache. No, oh God, I've got to go to the doctor. My head's killing me.
I did the same idea as James, but I saw hypochondria, but I didn't realize it was chronic severe disease that can be caused by anxiety and or depression, and with this mental disorder, they truly believe they're sick, but in reality, there's nothing wrong.
So they talk themselves into being sick, right? I told y'all my mom had dementia. Before she had dementia, my mom always had the fear of getting cancer. So anytime she had something wrong with her, my dad would have to rush her to the hospital, and they'd have to do the same test they did all the time, and she didn't have cancer. But in her mind, she thought she had cancer, right? Until she got the results of the test. Tell me something else.
I didn't know that an eating disorder is like a mental disorder.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. So what are the eating disorders?
Nerviccia.
So anorexia,
And then bulimia.
bulimia. So anorexia and bulimia, right? So they're eating disorders, and they're different types, right? They're both think they're overweight. So I'm gonna give you an example. So somebody's anorexia has it. They will look in the mirror. They might be 90 pounds, but they might see 215 pounds, right? So they're not going to eat much, right? They might just eat very little. They're going to exercise a lot, so they got to burn off whatever they ate. Right? How would you know? Think of this. How would you know one of your friends might have anorexia?
They would eat much at once.
Yeah, they would eat. So if they, for example, they had a hamburger and French fries, what would they eat?
Or eat like a
A few fries. And they would do stuff like that every day. Or a cracker or something, they're not going to eat much. Right? So that's anorexia. How about bulimia? Bulimia, y'all probably don't just read that whole thing, but bulimia is what they call you binge. That means you eat and then you get rid of it. You throw it up or laxative and stuff like that. Right? But they do the same thing. They all exercise and why is it a mental disorder? Why do y'all think that's a mental? It's an eating disorder, but why is it a mental disorder?
Because it comes back to your self-image.
Because about your self-image. So you're in your mind, you're thinking you're this, but you're really not. Right? So you're not overweight, but it takes. We'll talk more about it in the upcoming days. We'll talk about therapy. How do you control that? How does it help you to get where you're healthy? All right, what's the other ones?
I also found out that mental disorders can be inherited.
They're inherited. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? You think of it. If somebody is a schizophrenic, does that mean you're definitely, if your mom is a schizophrenic, is it definitely you gonna have it?
No.
You might, right? It's just this chance. I mean, it's a different one. We'll talk more about that too. Give me something else.
I didn't know amnesia is a type of dissociative disorder.
Yeah, so talk a little bit more about amnesia. What does that mean?
It's like the sudden loss of memory, or like you don't really remember stuff.
Right, you just sort of lose your thought. You don't have a clue. But Anything, it's a mental illness? What did you have? I'll come back to that. Who else? What do you got?
Didn't know that bipolar disorder. People with bipolar disorder have manic episodes.
Yes, so they had manic episodes. You know, I'm gonna tell y'all something about bipolar. I coached college football for 10 years, and I got out of it. I went to work at Shaw Industries. I was over college graduates, and I was over sales training. So I would teach them. I'd have a class of 25 people, college graduates. Right? So I had one guy graduated from Baylor University in Texas. He came to, I had a meeting one morning, and my assistant would always meet with him early in the morning, talk to him before they film different places. And when I get there for my meeting, my assistant says, I don't know what's going on with Tommy, but Tommy came to work with blue jeans on, a golf hat, and a golf glove hanging out of his back pocket. All right? So where I work, it was business casual, so you wore like slacks and a golf shirt or a button down. Okay? So he said, I'll send him home. I said, great. What's going on? He said, I don't know. So by the time I got in my office, here comes Tommy, he didn't go home. So he sits down in my office, and I had different paintings on the wall, like pictures of the Masters, a golf hole, number 12 at the Masters, amen corner, and different things. And this guy, I had no clue what was going on. He was dying laughing one minute, and then he was crying like crazy the next minute. Back and forth, just saying crazy stuff like, man, I wish I could just sit on that bridge right there with my pickup truck. Okay? And I'm thinking, I don't know what's going on. I didn't know anything about bipolar. I've never been around anybody with bipolar. I didn't know. And when you don't have to put that stuff down on your applications. I didn't have to put it. So I'm thinking, what is going on? This guy on drugs or what? So, anyway, I don't know what to do with it. Dad's a pilot for Delta, and I had to go find him, talk to him, and he said, man, I finally got a hold of him, this and that, and found out about bipolar. So we go, before he told me though, I had to take him to the hospital. Shaw, the company I work for wanted us to go to the hospital. So I take him to the hospital, and that thing's overdose too. Right? But I'm thinking, man, I don't think he's on drugs, man. We drug tested, I don't think he's on drugs. But it was crazy. It's like he was 5 years old. We'd walk in the hospital, he'd had my sleeve of my shirt walking right behind me. The doctor would ask him questions, right? And he would whisper in my ear, and I'd have to tell the doctor. Like, I didn't know what was going on. Come to find out he's bipolar, right? And he got off his medication. Bipolar can be controlled with medication, but he got off his medication because he said it made him sluggish, tired. And he thought, man, I've been on this medication, I think I can handle it without it. And he got off of it, and it wasn't good. So, right? My first, didn't have a clue about bipolar. Give me another illness you read about. What is that? It's compulsive. I mean, you're over the top of stuff. Okay? Think about, I know what y'all know what this means. What is OCD? What is an OCD person? Huh? You think everything's got to be perfect. I think of different movies when you see, like a pantry with all the cans are turned a certain ways, right? That's a mental illness too, right? Or you have to wash your hands all the time. Right? We wash our hands a lot now. We're talking about just all the time. Germs, you think you just got germs or something. What else? Did you find out about phobia? Yeah? Good. Predicted that?
There are like two different kinds of like disorders. Like you have organic disorders and functional disorders.
So tell me, what's an organic disorder?
It's like a physical cause that made it happen, like dementia or something. Yeah.
So organic, organ, brain, right? Something in your brain, part of your brain is not functioning right. Organic. Tell me the other one. Was it dysfunctional?
No, functional.
Functional.
They can be traced back to physical causes, like an early experience that happened when they were a kid, or like they just inherited it.
They could inherit it, or maybe some type of trauma happened to them. Right? It could be different things. What else? Did y'all read about anxiety disorder? All right. Here's a question, and I don't know if it covered it all in here, but I'm gonna ask you, you guys should know this. What is the difference between having an anxiety disorder or just being anxious? Right?
And the anxiety disorder is like daily, and then just being anxious is just like at a certain time.
Yeah, so anxious would be, think about things that make me anxious while your age. Public speaking would be one. Right? Another one, I hated taking the SAT or the ACT. Right? Just worked myself up, and I did okay on them. I could have done a lot better, but I worked myself up. But did that go away pretty quick? When did it go away? I take SAT, so I walk out of the classroom. Am I still anxious? No. So how about anxiety disorder? What does that look like?
You're like constantly worried about things.
Yeah, you could constantly worry about a lot of things, right? You could worry about like social anxiety, what people think about you. You're hanging around people, right? So it's continuous. So you have to figure out what therapy is going to help you do that. My daughter, you never know this. My daughter she was very anxious, had an anxiety disorder. She had to be medicated for a little bit. We take her to college. We get everything packed up, and she makes herself, she's sick. She's so nervous about staying there. She don't know many people. It's like, oh my gosh, let's take her back home. I said, no, she's going to be fine. And, but she's not like that anymore. But at times, she would just get worked up. Crazy things that she get worked up. Going to college, everybody gets anxious. But another one, when she went to dances in high school. Y'all get nervous the first day of school? But sometimes, I used to always get nervous first day of school, but as the days go on, fourth, fifth, sixth day, you sort of get used to it. So anxiety disorder just doesn't go away like that. You gotta have some therapy. Okay? What else? Give me a couple more things. Just covered about most of it. How about clinical depression? What does that mean? There's a thing on clinical depression. Here's your question. How would you know your friend is depressed?
Down. Always down.
Well, maybe they're down and dumps, but they're not usually down and dumps, right? So maybe they're down and dumps. What else?
They don't eat a lot.
They don't eat, right? They might eat very little.
They like change activity level.
They what?
Change in activity.
Change activity. Maybe they were really active, now they're not.
Loss of energy or feeling tired all the time.
Yeah, so they just sort of mope around, and they're usually high energy. Sleep a lot. How would if somebody's really clinically depressed, how would their appearance look? They don't care. So maybe I haven't washed my hair in 3 days. I hadn't shaved. A lot of that, or maybe the clothes I have on are dirty. I don't care. Right? So why is that important to realize somebody might be depressed?
To like get some help.
Get some help. So here's a question for y'all. I ask every one of my help classes this. All right. So, Connor, me and you are buddies. And I'm going to tell you something. You got to promise me. You better not say a word to anybody. You promise? All right. I'm thinking about hurting myself. Man, I don't know, man. I can't get out of this funk, man. I'm just in this black hole and I just don't live anymore. All right. What would you do? Will you promise me? That. That's exactly right. Or what that happened in school? Do y'all hear what he said? Right? You have to go get somebody to help them. Right? So if somebody ever says that, even if you think they might be kidding, what should you do? Go tell Coach Poe or go tell a counselor. Right? Because sometimes stuff's serious. Right? If you're depressed and you can't get out of it and you talk like that, don't ever, just because you made them a promise, go help your friend. Do you understand that? What else? What is mood disorder? My kids think I have a mood disorder sometimes.
You can't control that mood. Like whatever mood you're in right now.
Yeah, I mean you might be in happy mood in 1 minute and then sad the next minute. Right? Different moods. Sort of like, did y'all see the movie Split?
Yeah.
So what was that like?
He was big, man. I don't know, so.
It was also, but he had,
Yeah.
it was a mental disorder, but he had split personality. I mean, it'd be this person, and it'd be this person, and all different characters in there. Okay, but mental illnesses are great to learn.
Coach, I got a question.
What?
What's the difference between a mood disorder and bipolar?
Well, bipolar is extreme emotions, right? So, like that person I told you, it could be him crying like crazy and then laughing, right? Mood could be not to that extreme. It could be a mood that, you know, I'm in a happy mood and flip a coin, I'm not in a good mood. It's just, maybe I talk a lot and then don't talk.
So could mood disorder lead to bipolar?
Maybe, you know, it's, you know, a mood disorder is gonna be treated a little bit different than bipolar. I think bipolar is gonna be more aggressively treated. I think a mood disorder would be more of a talking, like a therapy type deal. I think one of the words in there, it's on both, it is cognitive therapy. Do y'all remember what cognitive therapy is? So I'll tell you. So cognitive therapy is maybe somebody bipolar or bulimic or anorexic, right? So that type of therapy is trying to talk you, not having those negative thoughts about yourself, sort of reversing what you think about yourself. You understand that? So it could be me talking to you about, you know, tell me about how you feel about your appearance, or how much do you eat, and so you start talking about that kind of stuff, and they can sort of change it to a positive. We can help you on some of that stuff. But good question, a very similar mood in bipolar. What other questions?
It's not really a question, but I kind of just noticed that, like, phobias can, like, lead to, like, obsessive compulsive disorders and, hypochondria and stuff.
How do you think that could happen though? So think of phobia, as we said phobia is fear of something. So how can it lead to some of those other stuff?
Like, they just start thinking about it way too much, or they're constantly scared about it.
Yeah, they can't let it go. Man, I'm scared of frogs, but I don't think about frogs at all until I see one. But in the extreme case, man, I'm always a frog under the I can't look at a frog. That's exactly right. Y'all understand that? All right, so that's just a sort of a introduction, 10 pages, very briefly on some of those. We didn't cover all the mental disorders in that chapter, but sort of give you an idea of what that looks like. Okay? So in the upcoming days, we're going to break it down. We're going to start with bipolar. We'll work our way through about 10 different disorders. Okay? And then you can really understand it. I've got a little briefing of it. As we get going, and I'll have a cool exercises for you guys to do too, once we do that, okay? Any questions on what we covered? Does everybody understand what we're talking about? All right, good job.